Hi, we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to Unconventional Asians. And every Friday, we feature really badass Asians who forge their own path and live their authentic truth. And today, we have Linda Bui today with us, who actually is a cancer survivor. And through her really miraculous story, she's going to tell us today how she used her mindset and spirituality to overcome it. So we can't really wait to dig into the story. Welcome, Linda, to the show.
Hi, Clover. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to share because this is something, as you mentioned, unconventional Asians forging their life and living their truth. I feel like that's kind of where I'm at right now in my life, and I'm really wanting to speak that truth.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, great. So I know I was like, your story is super mind blowing. And so do you mind giving us like a rundown and a summary of exactly what happened?
Sure. So July 2019, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and it's called paniculitis subcutaneous T-cell lymphoma. Very long name, but it's a type of lymphoma, and it actually happens to be a very rare one. Less than 1% of patients with lymphoma have this particular lymphoma, I believe.
Mm.
So wasn't even actually a lot of research or other cases of people who had my lymphoma. So my oncologist actually had to kind of look into the global community of oncology to help her decide which kind of treatment to give me.
Wow.
So what ended up happening was I one day just got sick out of nowhere. And sorry, just to give like a backstory, I had a baby 10 months before. So at the time when I got my diagnosis, my baby was 10 months old. And so at that time, I was healthy and everything was fine. No issues at all with my pregnancy or birth. So I was healthy. So when I got sick suddenly one day with a fever, it was kind of strange. And then the fever persisted every single day and it didn't go away.
Right.
That's when I started to look into it and went to see the doctor and try to figure out what it was that was an issue. And then I did grow some like little lumps on my body that were painful, which were strange because it was like every couple of days there were a few more. So a strange thing to have.
Right. And they were just all over your body, like those lumps?
Yeah, like all over my body. Except they hadn't started on my arms and legs yet, but by the end, I started to have a few on my arms. I did have one on my temple here as well.
And you
Yeah.
were how old?
So this was 2019, so I was 33.
33, right. Right. So still super young.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Yeah. And so since then, it was very dramatic, I know. And so what was that experience like when you went into the hospital?
Yeah, so I had my first, for example, so just to give a little summary, I had my first tumor that I noticed was May 31st. By August 19th, so 2 months later,
Right.
I had almost 50 on my body. And some of them were small and they started to like grow so big that they combined into one big one.
Wow.
And at that point, I already got my diagnosis, so I knew what I had and I knew what I was going through. So one day I had my fever got worse. I started shaking. I had a hard time breathing. Like my conditions and my symptoms were pretty much like aggressive. Tumors growing every day, symptoms getting worse and worse every day. Like it was just getting really bad. And the doctors didn't know much because my cancer was so rare. They didn't have much information to give me. So anyways, I got a PET scan done, and then like literally the next day, the doctor got the result and was like, okay, you need to come in Monday ASAP, 8:30 in the morning. We need to give you treatment. Right. And it was just like, okay. And coming into it, I had a lot of fears because chemo and I don't know, cancer, I was just so scared. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen.
That's very understandable. Yeah.
So I was just like, sorry, 1 second. Is it okay? You can pause it for a sec.
Oh, for sure. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's live, but don't worry. I know you have a mom. You may be busy.
Okay. So anyways, I was rushed into the cancer clinic. The doctor said I had to get chemo right away that day. And she told me she is just going to give me it's called CHOP, CHOP, just the names of the 5 drugs I'm getting, and it happened like strongest chemo treatment for lymphoma, and at the highest dose they're giving to me.
Right.
I was told. And then I even remember asking, like, can I wait 2 weeks? Can I have some time to think about it?
Yeah.
And the doctor was like, you have no time. Like, you got to do it today. Like, it needs to happen right away.
Right.
So anyways, I felt like, okay, I had no choice. I need to just do it because apparently, things could get worse and I didn't know what could happen. So anyways, the chemo, and it was through IV into the body. I think about right away, like it took about 2 hours to finish all the chemo, but it was finished. But right away, my body started to have a reaction.
Wow.
I started to shake uncontrollably. I felt really cold. My fever got up. My heart rate increased. And then I believe they had tried to, like, I don't know, do something, and nothing worked. And then I blacked out because I think my body was just going in some sort of chaotic state. I don't know. So I had blacked out, and when I woke up, I was actually in the emergency room at VGH, the Vancouver General Hospital. So when I woke up, I wasn't actually fully awake. I was a little bit like hallucinating and delusional, and like wasn't thinking and seeing things clearly, and didn't understand where I was and what was happening.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just thought I saw the tumors grow outside of my body.
Like you visually saw that?
I visually saw it, but I was actually hallucinating. After the fact, I realized I was just hallucinating.
Right.
But in the moment when I was like in that state of trauma, I literally saw the tumors grow outside. Like it was all over my arm and on my stomach, but like outside, blistering and red and oozing.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, how can we fix this? Like, this is impossible.
Right.
Like, I was just like, this is like just so scary. And I really did think I was going to die that night. Like I was, so the thoughts that came through my mind was my son, who was only 10 months old.
Right.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, he's only 10 months. Like, I want to be there for him, see him grow up. But anyways, I was just in this like crazy state, like so many thoughts, so many things. And then doctors were like trying to talk to me and trying to like ask me questions and make me take whatever, I think some sort of medication to calm me down, just because I was in such an extreme state. Like my heart rate was so high. Anyways, at some point I had blacked out again.
Right. No, for sure. Because your body couldn't take it.
And I think that's my body's way of dealing with trauma. And I think a lot of people, a lot of people, like, your body would just kind of black out or you blank out. I was actually physically still awake. Like my eyes were still open, but mentally I blacked out. I don't remember what happened. My family had told me that I was still like awake and talking and doing things.
Oh, really? Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't actually black out, pass out. I just
interesting. It's like your consciousness went offline. Interesting. So, what besides your son that was going through your mind? What else was there? Like, was all these fears that you're gonna die? Like, did like a flashback of memories of all your past came back, or like what was that experience like?
I think it was, at that point, I had a lot of fear in my mind, so I didn't really flash back about life and that kind of stuff. It was just more like my son, and also like my husband, just kind of thinking, oh my God, he's going to be a single father, taking care of his son, and that's going to be a difficult life. And I was really just thinking for other people, to be honest.
Oh, so sweet. Yeah. At that point, right.
Like how they would feel and how life would be for them, at that point at least. So anyways, I had blacked out, and the next morning I woke up and I was in the ICU in a very critical condition. I had a breathing tube and wires and tubes all connected all over me, and I had no idea like exactly where I was. I started to realize I was in the hospital in the ICU when my family were all suited up and masked up in full PPE. Just to come in to see me. Then I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in a serious place right now. And then I was kind of like semi like in and out because I was tired or having a hard time breathing as well. So I saw the doctor wheel in a screen a monitor, and then my family kind of also, they're all kind of standing, over that other side of me. I'm like laying down on the bed.
Mhm.
And then I heard him telling my family, okay, this is a healthy lung. And then this is Linda's lung. And there's only two like hole, like on each lung was like two little holes left. Everything else was black. So the doctor said, okay, so her lungs are filling up with fluid very fast. And within a couple days, once they're fully filled up with fluid, she won't be able to breathe. And I heard that part.
Oh no. Did that affect you?
How did that affect? I think I wasn't processing yet too much. I was just kind of like, okay, that sounds really, really bad. I haven't really like processed bad. I was just like, okay, like just hearing it as a fact.
Yeah.
And then he had explained, on top of that, Linda had acquired another condition called HLH. And I didn't look up the full name of it, but it's some really long name. It's a condition where your cells eat the other cells up.
Ooh.
And then he had said he had only treated 12 patients with this condition, and only one had survived.
Oh my gosh.
I had the lymphoma, I had my lungs filling up with fluids, and I had this third condition, which I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
As I heard all these explanations, I was like, oh my God, like that is like, okay, like I was just kind of like trying to process everything. But, instead of going into fear, like the night before or the day before, I was in a lot of fear.
Right.
But this time around, I heard all of that, but I didn't go into a state of fear or panic, or like, I didn't even think about death, to be honest.
Really?
What I felt was, I'm going to live. Like that was the first thought that went into my head, was I'm going to live.
Wow.
And everything's going to be fine. And the moment I kind of felt that, I just felt a sense of like relief and peace and calm just come over me, like instantly. Like, and it was only a couple minutes, but like I was just kind of like calm, and I just kind of like, after that, my body just stayed calm and remained calm and conscious and aware, and kind of realizing what needs to be done next. Is I need to heal, but I didn't get into a state of fear or anything. And I think because I had fully believed that I can heal. And I only have this belief because I do have prior spiritual practice.
I was going to say, like, how do you come to that? Most people would just freak out.
I think, a lot of people, and because I do talk to other patients and people going through chemo still and other survivors, a lot of them do give their life to the diagnosis and to the prognosis. As in, like, whatever the doctor says, they start to be like, oh, I hope I survive. I hope I. But for me, it wasn't like I hope I can get better. It was I will get better, and I will survive, and I'm gonna, because I want to be here for my son. I want to see him grow up, and I have so much more in this life I still want to do, and I do know that I'm here for a reason. And I'm going through all of this too. I do understand I'm going through all of this for a reason as well. And it's to share something. And I need to be alive to share it.
And do you felt like you were actually in control at that moment?
Yeah. I think well, not in control of the situation.
No, right. But your mind.
Mine and destiny. Like I choose my life. The doctor doesn't get to tell me, my survival rate is whatever, 1 in 12 people.
Wow. How do you switch from fear to this acceptance? Like, was there like a back and forth battling between the two? You just literally surrendered.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, yeah, because I guess maybe another time I have to share later or something, and I have this knowledge to surrender because I do have prior spiritual practice. I've read many books in spirituality. I've also read stories of radical remission of other survivors, of other people with near-death experience, and that they still live and are alive, and how they processed it all. And because I have that information and understanding, like it's already there in me, I just have to do it and like live it. Do you know what I mean? Like I've read all the books, I understand all the concepts, I know all the, the things, but now it's like, okay, now is your chance to do it.
Right, to practice. I see. So, okay, this is very interesting. So what kind of spiritual practice do you do? Like, or what kind of books do you read to kind of get to your point? I guess this is a really hard question. But if it's a beginner who wants to kind of start with their healing journey, what would you suggest them to do? Because it seems like that's kind of the answer.
Yeah, no,
to
I think
healing?
I'm only still alive because I have all of that understanding and
Hmm.
awareness and practice.
Yes.
So for many years now, I've been practicing meditation. I've
Okay.
been practicing, uh, I don't even know what the word is, but I guess mind control, like being
Yep.
able to
Mhm.
control and being able to connect with my intuition.
Mm.
However, though, after I had my baby and through the cancer experience, I was quite numbed. So I wasn't practicing and connected during that time. But prior to that,
Mm.
for many years, I did have that
Right.
practice. So I think
Mm.
riding a bicycle, once you have it, you kind of have it and it can come back easily.
Mm.
But I was numb for a period of time. And I think that was just my body's way of coping with the stress and like everything that was going on was just
Mhm.
numb and not feel all the trauma and pain I was going through. Same with that
Right.
workout, is just to like
Right.
blanket up.
Your body's way to protect you.
Yeah.
Mm.
I guess I would say start with meditation, start with like breath work,
Mm.
to be in tune with your body.
Yeah.
Um, so something that I had learned along the way is that when your body is in pain, it's
Yeah.
trying to speak to you. It's trying
Right.
to communicate and let you know um,
Yes.
something. And
Mhm.
it's up to you to figure out what that something is. For me, it was I'm in a I'm in a path or in a life or in a situation that's not aligned with who I really am and what my sole purpose is.
Mm.
So I had like literally suddenly gotten cancer. Like it was so sudden. It wasn't like it progressed
Right.
over months or years.
Mhm.
One day got sick.
Right, right. So you were kind of attributing that it kind of happened to you for a reason. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So yeah, so this last couple of years of my life hasn't been easy. I somehow ended up in a situation where I'm living the life that I completely don't want to live. Growing up being Asians,
Mhm.
we're told to go to school, be a good girl, um, you know,
Get married, yeah,
have
have kids.
kids, buy a
Yeah.
house, and like, be a good
Mhm.
wife, cook, clean,
Mhm.
and do all that kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
And so I decided, I think when I was 32, so I guess a year before getting sick,
Right.
I had decided that, okay, I want to have a family and I want to do all these things because I'm 32 and I see all my friends and getting married, having kids, and being successful with their jobs and careers. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I should settle down too. Maybe I should do what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
And I had decided to do that. So um, I think I feel like I wanted a family and a baby, and then
Mhm.
it literally just kind of happened unplanned.
Okay.
So I wasn't married yet. I was engaged
Mm.
at the time, but I wasn't
Mhm. Mhm.
married yet.
Okay.
And that was something hard for me to kind of accept for myself too, is like having a baby without getting married. Like as Asians,
Mm.
like kind of frowned upon, I guess.
Right. Mhm. Mhm.
So that was a little bit of a limiting belief for me that I
Yeah.
kind of came into. And then in this marriage, I wasn't happy. It was quite toxic and emotionally
Mm.
abusive.
Ah,
However, because I believed in these beliefs that you should be a good wife and
right.
submissive, listen to your husband and follow the rules and be you know, I don't know what it is, be a good person, I guess. And so
Mhm.
I quieted down myself. I kind of just did those things I was supposed to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's not who I am, and that's not my path to just be a housewife. I can also be a housewife, but it's not my path to only be a housewife, which
Right.
was which I kind of had accepted that that's what I wanted, thought
Mm.
that
Mhm.
I should be. And so I had accepted that. And then I was just in this really unhappy marriage. Um,
Mm.
he didn't, my pregnancy wasn't planned. And so I just forced myself. I'm like, well, now that we have a baby, I have to make this
Yeah.
work. I
Right.
have to be in this marriage. I have to
Mm.
otherwise it's so embarrassed, like I would feel embarrassed due to my cultural belief that like being a single mom is like frowned upon or like
Right.
um I don't know, just like I felt judged by family and friends, like
There's so much pressure there. Yeah. And would you say that kind of manifest I guess that misalignment or unhappiness kind of manifested, like the illness
yes,
in a
yeah,
way? Yeah.
because I was not living my truth. I was kind of almost lying to myself as well, and being really narrow and closed-minded and believing that I had to live this life this way.
Mm,
Um, and I was really, and the decisions I made, I really now see that was really controlled by my traditional cultural beliefs, which aren't necessarily true for me. I
mhm.
just believe them because they were passed on through my mom, through my grandmother,
Right, and that's all we know. Yeah, huh.
and that's what we believe to be is true.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily true for us.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. And it might be true for some people though, if it makes them
Yes,
happy,
yes,
absolutely, but I
yeah,
guess we just have to question it,
yeah.
and we kind of ask ourselves and our body to feel the emotions running through to feel if it's like a yes or no in a
Mhm,
way.
mhm. Yeah, so I, just wasn't happy, but I didn't want to change and didn't wanna do anything about it.
Mhm, mhm.
And also, I'm also very entrepreneurial. Like, I always wanted to have my own business and be my
Mm,
boss. But what had happened was actually just before getting sick, like 1 month before, I had decided to just go get a job and work and get a stable income
right,
because I want, again, to fit into that traditional beliefs and thought process, you know?
right.
And so I, got a job, and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna get this job and work in this company and work my way up, which is again not aligned with who I am and my truth.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
I just did it anyways because I thought that was the responsible thing to do. So I
Right.
was in an unhappy marriage. I was in a job that I really wasn't fulfilling, and
Mhm.
then literally a month after, I got cancer.
Wow.
So
Now I hope that not everybody like will go through that much of a rock bottom when they're misaligned. But I do see it, like at least in my own experience of my divorce, like when I wasn't happy and I was going with the motions anyway because of societal pressure and needing to fit into the mold. And then the marriage dissolved and then it now kind of realigned myself back into the right path. So not to say that everyone will get an illness just because they're, getting
no, not
thrown off,
everyone
but
has an illness, but you do
yeah,
have to pay attention to your body. So here's the thing: you
right,
might not get an illness, like a life-threatening illness like I did,
right.
but you may get other pain or other situations.
Mm,
You might have sleeping problems. You
right.
might have a back pain. You might have a stomach
Mhm,
pain. You might have a knee pain, like minor things. You
mm,
might get some sort of minor things because if you don't have the ability to connect with your intuition and your higher self, the
mhm,
only way for your higher self to communicate to you is through your body and through pain, because the only way you'll pay attention to
mm,
what it is that you need to figure out in your life or change or do differently or be aligned
mm.
with your path is pain. Because once
Yeah,
we're in pain, then we pay attention.
that's
So, you know,
true.
the word pain, Pain, is pay attention inwards now.
That's amazing. I love that. That's so true. That's so
I had
true.
learned that. I had learned that several years ago in a course that I took actually. Um, and I realized I knew that. And so I was always very aware and cautious and paying attention to my body.
Mm,
Uh, but when I, during my pregnancy and after birth, I became numb and I lost that connection.
mhm,
I didn't pay attention anymore. And I lost that connection to my higher self
mm,
and completely numb. And so I think I my life in particular got the life-threatening illness and disease because I was so far off and completely shut off from my higher self.
mm.
I had to get this life-threatening illness to really like wake me up and make me really pay attention. And
Right. Wow.
this life I'm living is not the life I'm meant to live.
Mm, interesting. So how do you connect to your higher self?
For me, prior, like several years ago when I started my meditation practice, I can actually feel that connection in my meditations.
Mm,
I would meditate for an hour to 2 hours sometimes.
wow.
And once you get to that 1 hour point, you can really feel it. I actually feel vibrations in my third eye chakra. I can feel
Wow.
vibrations and tingliness in my hands. And I can also feel energy in my stomach. So when you really pay attention and get quiet, and especially in a state of meditation, you can get into a very deep brainwave state called theta. And in
Mhm,
that state is where you can connect and talk. I would ask questions or I would set an intention, and I would actually sometimes either kind of get a sense of what the answer is, or a thought would come into my mind that gives me the answer to whatever I'm looking for. The
wow.
other way you can connect is just through your environment. For example, being able
Oh.
to see signs, see the
Ah.
synchronicities, see the magic of life.
Mm.
So like I often would always see 11:11 all the time.
I've been seeing them a lot.
And also I like to read books. So when I have a question or a situation in my life, whatever book I feel drawn to, like I'll just kind of scroll and browse, and there'll be a book that just kind of like piqued my interest. And I would literally read it and the answer is in the book.
Wow. So would you say it's to follow what piques your interest or what kind of lights your heart on fire? And
Yeah.
that's kind of what your soul is telling you to pay attention to.
Yeah, so that you have your higher self, and there's also God too as well. I
Right.
mean, it's all one, but like I see a little bit of a distinction because our higher self is really our soul and our spirit, which is part of God. Like we're all sparks of God. But then there's also this universal consciousness that we live in. So
Right.
when operating in this outside world that we live in, if you pay attention to signs, you'll see the signs. If you have the whole the term ask and you will receive.
Yes.
You just have to ask. You just have to want, and you just have to look. And when you look, you'll see the answers. But most of us might be asking, but then we're not looking.
Right.
We're asking for answers. We want something in our life, but we're not looking. We're quite, we're looking down. We're not looking up.
Would you say it's because we are so focused on our mind with our thoughts that we're not being in the present moment and we're not able to actually pay attention to what's happening around us? We're just kind of like projecting to the future or focusing on the past, that we're just so disconnected that's why we're not looking. Would you say that kind of makes
I would
sense?
say that. I would agree to that because I definitely can tell the difference when I'm in that state and when I'm not.
Right.
Like when I was in that state, so for example, I was during my getting together with this partner, this ex-husband, and deciding to live that life of being married and having a family and kids, and being not true to who I am.
Right.
When I was in that life, in that environment, I literally saw no opportunities, saw nothing, read no books, had no interest in anything, felt no connections. The moment I started to work on my inner self, so I guess I'm 1 year in remission now. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Really, this month is my 1 year.
Wow.
So this past summer, June, July, August, I started to physically feel better and heal from the whole cancer experience. I did have to still end up going through 6 rounds of chemo, like the doctor said I had to, even though I actually my body had already healed. Like when I decided that it's going to heal, I was in the hospital for about a week, and I had such a fast recovery and healing. They actually let me out after like 4 or 5 days in the hospital.
Right.
And by my second round of chemo, all the tumors had already gone. Like they were just, I had 50
Right, we forgot that detail. That's interesting, right? Because the second day when you surrendered, and then what happened after that? I totally forgot to talk about it. So
I know there's so much to talk and share, but I think my body just literally healed itself.
And so what happened to the air, like the fluid in your lungs?
Okay, it just went away.
Like just like that?
It went away, like just like that. Like so. I think the doctors couldn't really do anything about it. Like they couldn't drain it or do anything. And then also regarding the cancer and that other condition, it was just my body having this chaotic reaction and not knowing what to do, because I had T-cell lymphoma, and T cells are actually our fighter cells. It's part of our immune system to go fight the bacteria and viruses. But now it's my T cells that are the bad guys.
Right. So it's eating other things.
So then now it's like my T cells are just kind of like don't know what to do, and my body's just in chaos. And because I have lymphoma, it's a cancer of the blood. You can't just remove the tumor,
right?
Because when I did go for one biopsy, and that's how they found out what type of cancer I had. So I did one tumor removed for them to biopsy. Literally the next day, 2 more grew right in the same spot. Like there's no surgery you can do. Like most,
you just can't keep up.
Tumor. In my case, they literally removed the one. It was just a small one they removed, but the next day 2 more grew in that same spot.
Wow, that's crazy. So after that, like So would you say that the liquids in your lungs drain just in one day?
It just,
Like what?
it just yeah, it just went away.
Okay.
It just drained. They didn't do anything. I was given so to calm down my body because my body was in such a crazy chaotic state. Um, they did give me one more chemo. It's called etoposide. I don't know what it does or what it is exactly, but they just said that this will calm down my body, like calm down everything, kind of.
Right.
So so they gave me that, and then after that, like the next days in the hospital, I just healed so fast that by the next day I was out of the ICU.
Mhm.
Oh, and just to let you know how serious my condition was, there were 20 doctors outside my door when I was in the ICU discussing my situation.
Wow. And then like literally you just like walked out the next day.
Well, actually, I couldn't walk physically, but
Right.
yeah,
Or at
they
least
wheeled me.
from intensive unit to like more like a not
Acute
regular, but
unit,
still
yeah.
acute unit. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
So, yes, I was transferred out the next day, and then I improved again, and then they transferred me out to the less serious, I don't know, rooms, I guess. I don't know what they call them, but
Right.
by the fourth day, I was strong enough and able to like walk around and eat and everything. And then they said, you seem fine, like everything, all your signs, everything, all your blood tests, all the results, everything is back to normal. You can go home now.
That's such a miracle. I'm sure the doctors were shocked. It's like, what is going on?
Like, yeah, they were really busy. I didn't really even get to really talk to them or who. I don't even remember who was my doctor. Like they were all
Right.
like in and out. And like there was one doctor, a female one, that I do remember her face, but I don't remember her name.
Mm,
She had come in to check on me for the first time. I haven't seen her yet. She came in and she looked at me. She's like, Linda, you are glowing. You look like an
wow.
angel. And at that time, I was in the second room and I hadn't actually gone up or stand up or done anything yet. I've been laying in bed for the last couple of days, haven't moved a muscle.
Right.
And so she said that, and I was, oh, what? Like, I look like an angel? Like, she said, you're glowing. Like, you look so beautiful. And
Wow.
you're in a hospital after going through that. You don't think you look beautiful.
Right, right. Wow. Okay. I'm a
Anyway,
little speechless, but okay.
I was so curious. I was like, you know what? I'm going to stand up and go to the bathroom. So I think that was the first time I tried to like get up and get out of bed and everything. I went to the bathroom and I took a look in the mirror and I did see a glowing face. Like I did feel like my skin and my face was glowing.
Hmm.
So I didn't think anything about it.
Right.
Now that I'm looking back, I feel almost as if like my decision to live was kind of like God was kind of like, hey, Linda, I know you're kind of at this place in your life. You do have a choice. Do you want to live and continue your life? However, it will be difficult. It's not going to be an easy life. Like
Mhm.
it's not like I survive and then my, you know,
Or your problems will go away.
it's
Mhm.
not like everything just gets better.
Right.
So it's like you have a choice. Well, I feel like I had a choice in that sense. Like, do you want to kind of like just give up and end this life and take the easy route and just
Surrender and go to a different realm. Yeah.
or do you want to continue this life and continue your spiritual journey and growth? And I think I just decided that I'm going to live and continue and do this. And I know that's going to be very difficult because I know that I have to go through the rest of healing and deal with my current situation that was not very happy, like an unhappy marriage.
Right.
So but I knew that that's what I wanted in my heart and that I wanted to do this. Something that I learned about souls and everything is that we do reincarnate, and every life that we reincarnate is to learn something. And if you don't learn that life lesson in that life, the next life it comes back for you. And
Right.
you keep going. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like, you know what, I'm just gonna tough it up and enjoy the pain and suffering in this life because I don't want to have to go back and do it again.
I love that approach, though. It's true that, first of all, you have a choice, even
Mhm.
in that dramatic moment of life and death, that
Mhm.
you can, if you want to, go the path of healing and pure consciousness or God or the universe, whatever you call it,
Mhm.
will come through and able to give you the tools to heal yourself.
Yeah.
But if you choose not to, you can go to the other side, but not like that you're not going to come back and relearn the lessons over and over again. So, well, it's up to you. Do you want to do it now or later?
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, in that moment, though, when I decided to live, I didn't have that much process and thinking. Like, it wasn't like hours of, debating and thinking.
Right, right, right.
1 minute and decided, or even less, I don't know.
Wow.
It's just now that
Wow.
I'm looking back, that's what I realized I had that.
Mm,
That's what I realized I was choosing on and had the choice to do. And we do always have a choice, despite, I've had moments in my life where I felt like I had no choice, and like,
yeah.
I'm stuck in this relationship, I have no choice.
But we always have a choice.
Yes, we do always have a choice. And I found that that's the difference between, not all the difference, but one of the differences between people who do survive cancer and
Mm,
people who don't. Because, you know, like after going through cancer, and I didn't have so much experience with anyone having cancer, but
mhm,
after I joined some groups and talked to people and my neighbors in the cancer um, agency in the next bed, I would talk, and people actually go through like years of chemo, go through
mhm,
years of treatment. So if I hadn't healed after
yeah,
the 6 rounds, so the initial treatment is always 6 rounds of chemo for lymphoma. If
right.
it doesn't go away, doesn't get better, you get another 6 rounds.
Wow.
That doesn't work and it doesn't get better. The next option was a stem cell transplant, which is like major surgery.
Mm,
And so one of the other patients I talked to, he had the stem cell transplant. Like he only had two. He was also a lymphoma patient. He had two
mm,
tumors, two big ones in his chest, he said, and they didn't get any smaller after the chemo
wow.
radiation. So he then had to go through the stem cell, which then he did heal and get better. And I think when I had
Mm,
talked at that time, he was 1 year in remission.
mm,
For me, I think because my body, like, I mean, I still have to go through the traditional, like, I still did go through the 6 rounds of chemo, because even when I felt like I was healthy and better, I told the doctor, like, I'm good. Like, I don't need any more chemo. Can we
right.
stop?
Yeah.
And like, no, you can't stop. You have to go do the six.
Right, right. But I
So
guess
I
you have to do what you
was,
have to do, but it's the combination of the unwavering belief that you will heal,
well,
using the mind and the tools in reality that
yes.
kind of
Yeah,
gives
well,
the
the thing is, like,
perfect
for me,
combo.
I only had the 6 rounds and I recovered and healed, like, already, like, everyone, like, I was good. Like, I still had to do the treatment, but, like, I felt like I was already healed and better,
Mm,
because while, like, literally by my, like, okay, while I was going through chemo, I didn't look sick at all. I looked
wow.
very healthy. So even my husband at the time was like, he thought I was just normal and fine and okay. Like, he didn't
Mm,
had cancer, or
right.
like there'd be friends that haven't seen me for a while and heard of the news I had cancer, and they would just be like, "Oh, are you even sick? Are you done already? Like, are you back to normal?"
Oh, right, right.
At
And
that time, I had only gone through 2 rounds of chemo.
oh, wow, and then you were already pretty much back to normal. I'm
Well,
really curious
physically,
to know.
no, like, I looked healthy and normal, but
Right,
physically, I was still going through like the
it's
side
still
effects
mm,
from chemo,
um,
not from cancer.
right, because the side effects can be really strong because it's, like, really,
Mhm.
hard on the body.
Yes,
Yeah.
I had really
Um,
bad chemo side effects that I had to endure after that.
oh, like what? If you don't mind sharing.
Sure. So I did have the nausea. I didn't have any vomiting, but I did have the nausea from the
Mm,
chemo. So I
mm,
did have to take a lot of anti-nausea medication and stomach medication to prevent stomach upset.
mhm,
But then those have their own side effects too.
mm,
Um, and then due to the chemo also reduces your white blood cell count, which makes you immunocompromised,
right,
which makes you very prone to like easy to get sick. And if I were to get an infection of some sort, it would be very serious. So my body wouldn't be able to fight that.
right.
Um, so then what they would give me is another medication to boost up my white blood cells. And this particular medication was an injection that I would have to get. Um, and it causes bone pain as a side effect.
Oh.
I had severe, severe bone pain by the second chemo treatment right away. I had
Mm,
really bad bone pain. Like, it was so painful. Like, I couldn't move my fingers. Like, it was
mm.
tight and painful. Um, I could barely walk,
Oh my
actually.
goodness, wow.
But it only lasted, like, so every day this would last a couple hours in the morning, and then once I start moving and I guess, get the blood flowing, I would be better, and I would take pain medication, and then I would be able to go about doing what I normally do. At the time, I still had a baby to take care of. So
And that's my question, like, how do you pull that off? Like, to still get through chemo and, have a
really,
family to
some
take care
days
of?
I would be in so much pain. I would like seriously just sit there cry because I was just in so much pain.
Yeah.
And then my baby like is waking up, so I'm like, okay, I got to feed him.
Mm.
So I would just kind of like tough it up, crawl myself up to a standing position,
Wow.
tap on the pig, go get his bottle of milk, feed him, and that's all I had the energy for. And then I laid back down in bed and just laid there for another couple hours until I had the energy to get up again.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That's such, like, would you say that's your will, like your determination and motivation just to continue living this life that helped you to keep going?
Um,
Or there's more than that?
yeah, I think you're right. Like, when I made that decision in the hospital, it wasn't like
Mhm.
that feeling felt good at that time, but I
Right.
wasn't feeling that every single day.
No.
Like there were some really tough days, especially when my hair started to fall out.
Mm,
So I think 2 weeks after the first chemo treatment, my hair started to fall out.
mm,
And that was really, really tough. I think when I started to see that was when I was like, oh my God, this is real. I really do have cancer.
mm.
I really did get chemo. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a nightmare. It was
Right.
real.
Yeah. And I guess like during those days, would you say it's your spirituality that pulled you through then?
Um,
Or like a
I,
community? Like what helped you?
to be honest, I numbed myself and I disconnected myself from everyone. I didn't talk to anyone.
Mm,
I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. Not that I had cancer, but just of the situation I was in. I
mhm,
was confused, and I didn't want to think too much. And I was focused on like surviving and living and being alive. So I just literally pushed away any negative emotions or feelings,
ah,
and I just allowed myself to just feel positively and happiness only. So
wow.
there would be moments of feeling sadness and stuff, but it wouldn't get to any intense level. The moment I
Mm,
felt it, I kind of like pushed it away
yeah.
because I got to focus on healing my body.
Mm,
For me, I it was too much to both deal with the emotional trauma and aspect
mhm,
of this whole thing
mhm,
and the physical. So what had
mm,
happened for me was I focused just on the physical healing.
right.
I started to eat vegan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what did you do? Yeah.
Smoothies, green smoothies,
Uh,
cut out all sugars, anything white in my diet,
uh,
and then just focusing on eating and being healthy and whatever movement or walking I can do that
mm,
wasn't too painful, I would try to do. So it was just purely focusing on my healing and physical healing.
got it.
Um, 8 months in remission, though, once I was in remission, then the floodgates opened and all the emotions came out.
Right, because now your body has kind of healed enough on the body level where, okay, now your consciousness is coming to you and it's like, oh, what just happened? I need to process all of that.
Yes, and then literally all these emotions came out, like anger,
Mm,
sadness, grief. I felt so much emotion and intensity. Literally every single day, I would go to the park. Luckily, it was summertime and the weather was nice, and I didn't have to go to work yet. And my son, I was able to put him in daycare. So I
mm,
drop him off in daycare. I go to the park and I sit there for an hour or two and just let myself feel whatever it is I feel. And this is also a
mm,
spiritual practice that I had learned as well.
mhm.
So I'm just practicing the things that I had learned and
Yes.
doing it.
Yeah.
And I just let the emotions come out. Like if I felt like crying, I cried. If I felt so actually I didn't feel any anger yet at that point. The anger
Okay.
came later on for me, but it was mostly just sadness and grief and just like, holy smokes, I freaking almost died. Like I
Yeah.
did a lot. And I took care of a baby. And I was in an abusive relationship this whole time while I was going through everything. So my ex-husband was not supportive at all during the
Mm,
cancer experience.
wow. Oh, and that
Appointment.
adds to
Yeah.
the difficulty.
Like I went through it alone.
Wow. Oh. Oh.
But I did have my friends and family. So like
Yeah.
when I had to go get chemo and had to go to the doctor's appointments, I did have my friends and family come.
Mm.
be supportive and be there for me, but my husband, who should have been, wasn't.
Wow. Mm. And then I guess afterwards you also have to deal with the divorce too.
Yeah. So I think once all the emotions and everything came out, and I started to have my reawakening,
Mhm.
and I say reawakening because I've already been awakened once before
Yeah.
in my 20s when I first started my spiritual journey, and that's how you kind of always start, is you have an awakening moment.
Mhm. Of
And
difficulty or rock bottom usually.
yes. And I really honestly didn't think that I would go through it again, but hey, you don't learn the first time, you do go through it again.
So I'm curious then, what kind of, besides just like a healthy diet, do you add like supplements or anything? Or
Oh,
like even like Asian, food medicine practice into it? Like,
mhm.
how was that experience like for you? If
Okay,
like for
so
anybody who's maybe curious with like healing themselves right now.
yes, so because I had lymphoma, and it's part of the immune system, I could not actually take supplements. The doctors didn't want me to take any supplements because they were afraid that
Mm,
if I were, because most supplements, for example, vitamin C is immune booster.
right,
And so they weren't sure if it's going to boost my immune system to produce more cancerous cells or
right,
not.
because the T cells, right.
So I couldn't take supplements, but they had said, yes,
Mm,
food, eat the food and that kind of stuff. So yes, I was
mm,
eating food, and uh, I did take like drink mushroom teas,
I
chaga
see, right.
mushroom. So that
Uh-huh.
herb or that mushroom has been known to fight cancer.
Which
So
mushroom, sorry?
chaga mushrooms.
Chaga mushroom, okay.
Mhm. Oh, and I also did drink alkaline water. Like that was all I
Oh,
would drink, was alkaline
oh.
water to reduce
Why
the
is that?
inflammation in my body.
Oh, because the acidity would create inflammation. So if you do the opposite, which is alkaline, would then decrease the risk of it. I got it.
Yes, yeah. So whatever I could take, I would try to take. And I actually previously, before getting sick, I always took supplements and vitamins
Mm,
as part of my daily life. So once I finished chemo, like I finished chemo in December, in January, I started back on all my supplements just to like rebuild my health.
uh,
Um, and so, oh, and I did eat a lot of mushrooms, like food wise, while
uh,
going through chemo, just because mushrooms are very healing, and also bone broth. I would try
okay,
to do bone broth as well, or drink bone broth.
right. And what
To,
is that good for?
bone broth is also anti-inflammatory, and it's
Oh,
got lots of nutrients and collagen. I can't remember the name of the specific things, but I did look it up when I was looking things up. But it's very, very good for your health,
mm,
the bone broth.
very cool. So I know now that you've come out from this experience, you want to share it with the world, and this is like one of your first opportunities, or
I think this is
kind of
the first one publicly
exposure.
sharing. I
Right.
one had shared with a few friends and individuals,
Mhm.
and not even the full story, just because it's like so long, it's hard to
Mhm.
share it all. But I am trying to write a book right now, and so
Yeah.
hopefully I can put all of that in a book, and then
Yeah.
you can read about it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah. And are you trying to do anything as well, like business-wise or with your life? Because you were saying you were maybe off alignment, and after coming from like a life-threatening situation, a lot of people kind of change their life path. So, are you planning on doing that?
Yeah, so I mean, I did completely change my life 360. I left the relationship
Hmm.
literally overnight. And it was hard to do because
Yeah.
the idea of being a single mom and my son not having both parents around, like it was a really tough decision,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I had to do it.
Yeah.
Um, I had to also move back to my parents to live with them so they could help me take care of my son so I could go to
Yeah.
work.
Hmm.
Like, and that was also another hard thing to do. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
but I did it and I'm sharing it. Like it was, I feel embarrassed to do
Not
these
at
things.
all.
I
No, I
realize,
think that's amazing. It takes more courage to do that because you know your truth, but in moments of you needing to get through to the other side, there's also reality. So moving in with your parents during that transition doesn't mean you're a failure. And I just want to kind
which
of
I can
acknowledge that.
actually like understand that, and I get that, and I've kind of like, what's the word? Like accepted it, that this is just what I need to go through.
Yeah, good for
Um,
you.
But of course, in the moment, like trying to make that decision was hard. However, what was interesting was when you know how when made this decision to live, my body just healed and everything kind of worked out, and I'm now in remission. When I also in my heart decided to leave that relationship and that it's not the best for me,
Mhm.
literally everything showed up and provide, like God, the universe, I don't know, provided everything I need in order to do that. Like,
Wow.
and also like, so in my mind, before leaving the relationship, I had a plan. Okay, I'm gonna tell him on this day. We're gonna discuss it. We're gonna, do
Yeah.
the typical normal, like, let's talk about it. Let's separate. And
Yeah, yeah.
but like, no, it didn't happen that way. Like an event happened that I almost feel as if, I don't know, the universe made it happen somehow. I have no idea.
Mm,
Like everything lined up for that specific event to happen, for us to have an argument and a fight that specific day, for
mhm.
me to leave. And the moment I just decided, okay, yeah, I'm not coming back.
Wow.
I had a place to live right away. My sister happened to just move out of my parents, so then I had a room to stay. I had a job opportunity come up right away so that I could have some income and not
Mhm.
be worried about money because I haven't been working the last, year or so because I was sick.
Mhm. Of course.
Um, I had a vacation lined up for me to just get away.
Oh, amazing. Wow.
Like everything like literally lined up for me to make it easy. And the other really interesting thing is, and this is where the signs come in,
Mm,
and if you pay attention and if you are following and listening to it, I had also I don't think I mentioned this yet, but I'm a realtor.
mm,
I do my job normally, and so I decided to get back into real estate. You know, to get my life back on track.
mhm,
I also randomly bumped into another Vietnamese, I'm Vietnamese, real estate agent who's maybe a couple years older than me. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I can partner or work with her because I'm just kind of getting back in and it takes a while. So I asked her to meet up. But for months
mm.
before, we were supposed to meet up, but it never happened. And then literally 3 or 4 days after I left my husband, our meeting was that day. It just happened to be because we were like rescheduling so much. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go meet her because I don't want to cancel again. Even though I'm going through, leaving my husband right in that moment.
Right.
So I went to meet up with her and literally she had gone through a very similar experience,
Oh, wow.
but she didn't have the cancer. Her daughter did. Her 8 year
Oh. Oh.
going through it.
Mm.
And she had also left an abusive relationship 2 years prior.
Wow.
And I was telling her my story, and she looked at me and she was like, wow, Linda, we have a similar story. And then she kind of briefly shared me with hers. And I was like, oh my God, I was like shaking because I was like, is this God literally giving me a sign?
Mm,
Let me meet this person just to reassure and tell me, Linda, you're on the right path. Look at
mm,
this other woman
mm,
who is exactly similar to you, with similar experience, and she is now a successful real estate agent, living her
mm.
happy and doing good. Like she was just telling me
Wow.
how happy she is that she made that decision to leave, how happy
Mm.
now, and I could see that she's very successful in real estate and doing really well. And I was like, whoa, that's me in 6 months. Like I could be
Wow.
there too. Like when
Mm.
I talked to her and I got that like confirmation, because when you first leave a relationship too, especially like a marriage, you question yourself a little
Of
bit, right?
course, it's scary
Like,
because it's the
did I make
unknown.
the right decision? Is
Mhm,
this what I should
mhm,
really do?
mhm.
There's that little
Wow.
bit of doubt. But then
Yeah.
after talking to her, I was like, oh my God, like this is like God being like, here's a sign.
Yep. No, you're on the right path. Keep going. That's
Keep
amazing.
going. Yeah. So and I took it and I saw it as a sign. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's true. You chose to see it as a sign
Mhm.
and you trust it. Because some
Mhm.
people can just be like, whatever, it's just a coincidence, move on, right? And
Mhm.
continue their old pattern. But you said, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity and said, I'm going to take that leap of faith. Good for you. And that takes a lot of courage because unknown and uncertainty is something that humans are not very good at dealing with.
Yes. I
And
think that's what caused me to be stuck a little bit in that situation
right.
I was in.
So would you say surrendering to the uncertainty is actually part of the equation?
Yeah, I think trusting in the unknown, having that faith and trust that even though you don't know what it's going to look like, it has the potential and possibility to be different and maybe better
Mhm.
than what you're currently in, I really, really had to have that trust and faith. But you know what? Like, I also had lots of guidance in the sense that, like, answers and signs came to me. Like,
Mm.
I was pondering, should I leave this relationship? Should I leave this marriage? And the signs and everything came to me. Like, I almost felt as if, like, it was so strange. I really felt like, because I don't actually hear voices or hear God talking. Like, I
Mhm,
don't
mhm, mhm.
really
Right, right.
see things through books and messages and people or things in
Mm,
my environment, right?
right.
Like, I also, like, a month prior to the leaving, I also did a online tarot reading, and it literally
Okay.
said, "Be responsible and leave that troubled relationship."
Wow. Wow.
And then it
See, there
also
you go.
said, um, "Learn to overcome your lifelong fears."
There you go. There you go. Wow. This
I
is
was oh my
inspiring me
like,
to look for signs too.
so, like, I literally was told and guided on what to do. All I had to do was,
Mm,
accept it, believe it, trust it, and go with it. And because I
mm,
did do that, everything lined up. The place to live, the job, the vacation,
mm.
the friends
Wow.
and family, everyone, every single resource possible that I could have needed came. And this is something I would love to share, and help other women in abusive relationship, because I know it's
Mm,
leave, and it's like such like a mind block that you're in.
mhm.
It's so hard to get out of. Like, you just lose yourself, and you
Yeah.
just don't feel confidence in your life. And so I had that trust and belief, and I just did it, and things lined up. But,
Yeah.
before getting to that place of trust and belief, I was so scared and terrified. Like,
Right. Yeah, it's not like that feeling of fear is gonna go away, but it's having inspiring stories like you, understanding the spiritual practice and trust in the unknown. It's kind of that combination that help you get to the other side, and that can be way more beautiful than we can ever imagine.
exactly. And life has been so amazing and so magical. Like, I can't even explain.
Oh, so great to hear. Well, thank you so much for this amazing, inspiring story. I'm sure everyone just mind blown by how this is possible, because a lot of times we're like, we got to do, the right thing. We're going to go through chemo, which you did, but it's interesting to point out how powerful the mind can be,
Yeah.
and the beliefs in the universe and our own consciousness and the power of source or whatever you call it, that's
Mhm.
beyond ourselves, and that's when things will work out in your favor. um, Sometimes it doesn't work in our favor, maybe in the way we want it to,
Mhm.
uh, but eventually it kind of guides us to our alignment if we choose to listen to the signs.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do believe that, because I believed in the power of the body and the body can heal itself.
Yes.
There's a book I do recommend everyone.
I was going to ask you some resources.
I
Louis Hayes.
think it's
Okay.
called You Can Heal Yourself, or You Can Heal Your Body, something along those lines. But I read many, many books on this, and so I do already have that belief that my
Mm.
body can heal myself. I just had to, like, do it.
Right, right.
Um, I think I was sorry, I kind of stopped from I was sharing something and I stopped, but there were other patients who took years. My one friend
Right,
took 18 months of
right.
chemo,
Mm.
right? So it does take a while, but when you have that belief in what you just shared, like that belief in higher consciousness, yeah, I do believe that then your body heals faster and more, like, just like, I almost feel back to normal. Like, it's only been 1 year for me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, no more pain, no nothing. And then a lot of the other people that I am in the groups with are still expressing that they have pain even after 1 year in remission.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, you're a great example of that. Anything is possible. Well, thank you guys for watching. I hope that was really inspiring and hopeful for everybody who's going through something. I mean, um, healing can be physical and mental as well. I know during this time of the pandemic, it can get really difficult in so many levels. So just want to kind of share this amazing story with you all, that there's hope at the end of the tunnel, and keep going. So thank you so much for watching. And until next time, dare to be authentic. Bye, guys.